Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong.
Imagine, if you will, that you work at Rareware in 1999. You are on the shores of the new millennia. The holiday season is right around the corner. Sony is killing it with the PlayStation, and Sega has a new console, the Dreamcast, and it's selling like hotcakes for the time being. A few years prior, however, your coworkers put out the very first 3D platforming game your company has ever released, Banjo-Kazooie, to great success. Meanwhile, you're toiling away at another side-scrolling platformer, another romp through the jungle, another Donkey Kong Country game. But not for long. You decide to build upon the success of your coworkers and adopt these newly forged philosophies of 3D platforming and apply it to the big hairy ape that everybody loves so much. But we can't just chase the success of the bear and the bird. This is Donkey Kong we're talking about. We have to make it bigger, better, and stronger too. What's that? Banjo-Kazooie had 100 collectible jiggies? Mario 64 had 100 stars? Well, our game is going to have 200. What? All those other games ran on base Nintendo 64 hardware? Well, guess what? We need more RAM. We're going to include an expansion pack to fit what we're serving up in. What's that? You can only play as one character in Super Mario 64? How novel a concept. Ha! Big whoop. Ours, you're going to be able to play as 5, each with their own special abilities, and we're going to introduce them through a rap song.
Here we go! Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, Nintendo and Rareware are making some noise.
No, not that one. Not that one. Technological leaps have always been a point of fascination for me. Every medium has had that leap, from radio to television, from silent black and white films to sound color films, even from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. There has always been a dramatic transformation. But perhaps the introduction of the 5th generation of home video game consoles has to be the most dramatic. One company that knew that quite well and decided to exploit it as much as possible was Rareware. Rareware had always been pushing the envelope when it comes to technology. Hell, the original Donkey Kong Country games were built with that in mind, giving the illusion of a third dimension. But now that a third dimension was feasible, we needed to push it even more. They needed to be bold, like a punch to the face. And nothing quite sucker punches you so beautifully like Donkey Kong 64. Everything about this game demands your attention. From the gorgeous, rich color palette to the dynamic lighting effects, there's no doubt it's one of the greatest looking Nintendo 64 games. Even the cartridge is banana yellow, so that when you walk by it in a store and see a loose yellow cartridge, you know it's gonna be Donkey Kong 64. Or Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Or Earthworm Jim 3D. But that's besides the point. The point is, this game is beautiful and large. Very, very large. So large, you need warp pads to traverse between some places. But I think what makes it special is that it doesn't feel too vacant. A complaint that I had with the Collectathon spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, Yooka-Laylee, is that the worlds were very big, but there wasn't that much to interact with. Meanwhile, Donkey Kong 64 is an exercise in maximalism. There's always an enemy around the corner, a barrel to enter, a building to explore, a silly character to talk to, a collectible to get. There's always something there. Your view in Donkey Kong 64 will never be devoid of anything you cannot interact with in some capacity. In a way, Rareware tried to grab the world by the tail and put it in this game. And the content of this game, the places you visit, are all very diverse and varied. When I was younger, Donkey Kong 64 had me looking up so many things in encyclopedias like jungles, the Aztec civilization and mythology, toy production, galleons and pirates, mythology, geology, crystals, caves, ghosts and ghouls, western lowland gorillas, mountain gorillas, chimpanzees, spider monkeys, Sumatran orangutans, walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smells, grapes, melons, oranges, and coconut shells. In this way, Donkey Kong 64 differentiates itself from a game like Super Mario 64, in that DK64 feels more like a grand adventure. Super Mario 64 to me feels more like an athletic exercise where I'm trying to complete a level as quickly as possible. The worlds aren't too lush or fully developed. They seem like I'm running around on a hunk of dirt. Meanwhile, in Donkey Kong 64, you have really detailed worlds, and you can traverse it in many different ways, given that you can select 5 different characters, each with their own collectibles, their own themes, their own weapons, their own moves, and so on. One thing I really like is in the tag barrel, all the characters have their own themes and behaviors. Donkey Kong's really suave, Diddy is cocky and eager, Linky is goofy, Tiny is spunky, Chucky is cowardly, and so on. And not only do they express this through their motions, but also their music. Which brings me to Grant Kirkhope, who is a figure that has drawn some criticism from folks for being a bit of a one-trick pony when it comes to his soundtracks. But I would say his approach to Donkey Kong 64 is one of my favorites. He blends elements of David Wise's earlier work on the Donkey Kong Country series with his own unique style and flair. It's very cartoony, it's zany, it's kind of jazzy as well, and he puts that to great effect in this game. One thing that I like that Grant did in Donkey Kong 64 is incorporate animal noises into the music to make it feel more alive and blurring the lines between diagenic and undiagenic sounds in a very delightful way. In the end, Donkey Kong 64 is a game that pays homage to its roots while drawing from its contemporaries and trying to push the boundaries in terms of what a 3D platforming collectathon can be. And that way, I feel that Rareware had succeeded in creating a truly outstanding game that captures the mind and ensnares the heart in a truly wonderful way. Now, I won't pretend that this game has drawn some criticism in recent years, with people claiming that it ruined a genre or that it's rife with bad gaming design decisions. People will go about screaming about how they think this game sucks and there's too much to collect and walking back to tag barrels is too much and yada yada yada. Sure, fine, whatever. You think the game sucks. I can't account for taste. But you know what? There's a common thing I hear when watching these videos about Donkey Kong 64. When people are complaining that it's not as good as you remember, at the very beginning, there's this common saying.
I loved this game as a kid. Please don't think that I hold some horrible grudge with DK64.
And as someone who loved the game as a kid and has never replayed it as an adult, I grew up with Donkey Kong 64, and as a kid I adored it, but I have begun to look at it more critically 21 years later.
When I was a kid, I loved this game. And I started to think about that phrase. And then it dawned on me. And I felt changed. I just started to realize how much time warps our perception. Of course I liked Donkey Kong 64. Of course I loved it as a kid. I felt free to do so. I didn't have to work a job, pay taxes or medical bills, go to appointments or things like that. I didn't have to worry about tomorrow as much as I do now. I wasn't bogged down by the ebbs and flows of adult life. I could just relax. Donkey Kong 64 helped me reveal a difficult truth to me. That as I get older, the most precious thing that time has robbed me of isn't youth, it isn't money, it isn't skill or emotional fortitude. It's patience. I hate how limited my attention span is. How frustrated I get when things don't work out immediately. How angry and stressed I get when others take really, really long to get things done, or when I have a lot of time devoted to something. Donkey Kong 64 certainly is a game that demands patience. Lots and lots of patience. It can be grueling at times as an adult. And it's hard to give your patience when you have so little left. I mean, there were times when I dropped this game for years before I picked it back up again. I still loved it. Sure, I screamed, I cursed, I bit, I spat, but Donkey Kong just stood there, smiling back at me, with the patience and the understanding of a saint.
And he also made me realize that all I had to do was drink Dr. Pepper, so I guess it's a win-win.
It's then I remember how Jungle Jape's theme would play in my head when seeing gorillas and other simians at a zoo as a kid, or eating pizza and playing Donkey Kong 64 multiplayer with my friends or my brothers on Friday nights, or seeing my older brother struggle with Mad Jack and ask me to leave the room because he believed I was jinxing his game, or how two of my friends became really good friends and met because they were both rapping the DK rap in the boys' locker room at school, or how two of my friends became very close romantic partners because of their mutual love of Donkey Kong 64, and how one of them really, really loves Tiny Kong. Or how every time I bring up Donkey Kong, my dad will always say,
Donkey Kong.
while others may decry the decisions of Donkey Kong 64 and dismiss it as some bad malaise of design concepts, there is joy hidden within the fruit salad that is that game. And I know I've gone on record saying how silly it is to put so much stock in media, a product, a thing to be sold, but god damn it, let me have this. That big suave monkey is a friend of mine and brings me joy. Something that I could really use right now. You see, folks, this month is my birthday month, and it's a big one for me because this year I turned 30. And on top of that, I'm starting a new chapter in my life. I quit my job, and I'm searching for a new one, and I'm moving, and I don't know what the future may hold. It's a very anxious time for me. But whatever it may be, I know one thing that is good to have is patience. my love took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down. Oh, climb a mountain and you turn around, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring it down? If you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, landslide will bring it down. Oh, landslide will bring it down.